July 4th, 1987, Milan, Michigan. Here on ESPN, Hank Endres gave us a graphic demonstration of what happens when 3,000 horsepower rears up. Despite this titanic crash, Endres was unhurt, but out of championship contention for 1987. That's the kind of International Hot Rod Association drag racing excitement that has brought over 500 competitors, 40,000 fans, and our ESPN cameras to the next stop on the IHRA Tour, Norwalk Raceway Park in Norwalk, Ohio. The fastest guns in drag racing are here, shooting for their share of a purse of over $500,000. Championships in 4 professional classes are at stake, and they're ready for the green light in Ohio. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Raceway Park, about halfway between Toledo and Cleveland, Ohio, near the shores of Lake Erie, is the site for Round 6 of the International Hot Rod Association Championship Tour. Hello, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha, welcoming you to Norwalk, Ohio. Joining me to help analyze today's Motorcraft World Nationals is former drag racer and radio announcer, now an official with the IHRA, Ted Jones. Ted, welcome back to the microphone.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Bill Bader's beautiful Norwalk Raceway Park, Bob.
Norwalk is both beautiful and fast, one of the fastest tracks on the IHRA series, and because of that, we should see a lot of action today.
A lot of action indeed. Gene Snow, Mr. Unbeatable in Pro Nitro Dragster, has 2 wins back-to-back here on ESPN. Mark Oswald has 4 wins this year in the IHRA circuit. Who can stop him? And in Pro Stock, it took a 7:37 just to get into the field today at Norwalk.
It should be a war, and covering all the action at trackside will be Brett Kepner. Let's get his thoughts on today's events right now.
Norwalk Raceway Park, located just outside of Toledo, Ohio, is annually the host of the International Hot Rod Association Motorcraft World Nationals. Because of this racetrack's proximity to Lake Erie, in fact, it's only a mile off the shore of the lake, the air quality here can create some of the quickest and fastest runs in the sport. We'll be looking forward to that kind of record-breaking action here at the IHRA World Nationals in Norwalk, Ohio.
Thank you, Brett. The IHRA Motorcraft World Nationals from Norwalk Raceway Park are brought to you by Motorcraft. Quality parts for all makes of cars and trucks. They exceed the need. And by Drag Review. All you need to know about drag racing. We have warm, sunny skies and a quarter-mile of asphalt awaits the competitors. The ground-pounding excitement of International Hot Rod Association drag racing is coming up with quarterfinal action from the Pro Nitro Dragsters. Stay with us. We're back at Norwalk, Ohio, and ready for quarterfinal action in Pro Nitro Dragsters. Making a return to IHRA competition after a 3-year absence, this man, Jerry Marconi, the number 8 qualifier, will take on this man, top qualifier Joe Amato of Old Forge, Pennsylvania.
Top qualifier indeed. Joe Amato has to be the favorite to win. There you see him backed up by his wife, Jerry, into those hot rubber tracks. Amato won the season opening IHRA Winter Nationals in Darlington, South Carolina. They're ready, Bob.
And they're away. Amato in the far lane. Marconi in the near lane, a little bit loose, but he's out front, and he holds off Amato.
An incredible upset for Jerry Marconi from Waconda, Illinois, as he beats Joe Amato. Let's take a look at it again. You'll see Marconi leave first. He beats Amato off the line by about 0.02 of a second and holds on to win by about 12 inches.
and that was a world-class upset. Your 5:47, a near-career best for you, just beat Joe Amato's 5:46. A whole shot win, defeating one of the toughest dragsters in the world.
God, I don't believe it. But I'll tell you what, I'm ecstatic about it. I really am.
You certainly have right to be. 260 miles an hour to Amato's losing 264. It proves that you outdrove him on the top end, or at least were right with him. Quite a chore for an ex-drag boat team from Chicago, huh?
I think so. I think we're moving up now. We finally got some problems worked out in the car, and I think if you watch us, we'll be starting to run it like we should be.
All right, on the heels of a huge upset, we'll go to one of the big marquee matchups of the afternoon. Gene Snow, points leader coming into Norwalk, second qualifier out of Fort Worth, Texas. He'll be facing this man, number 7 qualifier, Dan Pastorini, the former football quarterback from Richmond, Texas.
Pastorini, or Dante, as he's called by all of his friends, driving the Coors Silver Bullet. Now, Pastorini's had a problem all year long with this guy, Gene Snow, who's been dominating the IHRA trail. Pastorini would like nothing better than to get past this man, Snow. I'm sure Snow has other ideas. Pastorini approaching the line.
The lights flash their stage, and they're away. Pastorini in the near lane, gets way over near that center line. Tight race, and Pastorini pulls it off. He beats Snow.
He's done it. Dan Pastorini has upset Gene Snow, the current points leader, and stopped his progression. So Dan Pastorini will advance into the semifinals with a great 5.55 ET, 260.87 miles per hour.
And so the former NFL Oiler beats the Oil Man from Fort Worth. Here's another look at the run. Pastorini getting the wheels up off the line.
You see Pastorini leaving first. He stays in it, lets the front end settle back down, and begins to motor past Snow. Brett Kepner will talk to Pastorini.
You've just accomplished something that nobody's been able to do in 2 months. Beat Gene Snow. 5:55 to 5:61. It was tight.
Gene's been running real well. He's been the guy to beat on the circuit so far, and we knew that we had to step up. We've had our problems with our fuel system and everything, but I think Jimmy and the guys got it figured out that last run. The last 2 runs we've been real consistent, and the car is nice and dry, so I don't think we've hurt anything on it. It should be real good.
I think consistent is the key word here, because you're running exactly like you were in qualifying, so you're keeping that kind of pace.
Right, so if we can keep that up and step up a little bit, I know those other guys are going to be tough in the second round, that's for sure.
Well, one thing's for sure, quarterfinal action has been tough on the top seeds. The first and second qualifiers are gone. Here is number 3, Jack Ostrander, the number 3 qualifier out of Pontiac, Michigan, and he will be taking on this man, number 6 qualifier, Bill Mullins of Pelham, Alabama.
Mullins was runner-up at the recently completed Motorcraft Northern Nationals, as seen here on ESPN. He's the guy that was defeated by Gene Snow in the final, and they're ready.
Good race. You see Mullins on the inside. The tires smoke on Ostrander's car, but he holds his advantage to the finish.
Jack Ostrander pulls out a good win with a 5.497, 257.14 mile per hour. Not too shabby, Bob.
Not at all, considering those traction problems he had on the way. There you see the numbers for Jack Ostrander. Great run, beating Mullins. Now in our other quarterfinal matchup, John Carey, the number 4 qualifier, had a solo run when Glenn Mikris could not get his car fired at the start line. Solo effort for Carey, and he'll move on to the semis. And here's the way they'll line up. Marconi will meet Carey in one bracket. Dan Pastorini will take on Jack Ostrander in the other. And now we will move on to Pro Alcohol Funny Cars, their second full season in IHRA Championship competition.
This man right here leading the points, this is Bob Newberry, and he's going to be running a gentleman who would very much like to upset him. This is Don DeFluter. Don DeFluter is number 2 in the points, and he just has not been able to get around Newberry this season.
Both had easy runs in the first round, and now they meet in the quarterfinals. It will be DeFluter in the far lane, Newberry in the yellow car in the near lane as the staging lights flash and they're away.
Newberry moves first, but here comes DeFluter. He's right beside Newberry. An upset could be in the making, yes.
And Don DeFluter manages to drive around Bob Newberry. He beats the points leader, and you can tell by his crew just how much that means to them.
This is exactly what Don DeFluter needed. Now he can move in on Bob Newberry. He has stopped the one man that's had him upset all season long. There you see the figures on Don DeFluter, a 6.40, 214 mile an hour.
Moving on to our next match, Pete Gallen in Poverty-Stricken and Oldsmobile bodywork. He will be taking on this man, Bogey Kell of and the nicest turned-out car in the field. Bogey Kell, the number 4 qualifier out of Atala, Alabama in Southern Thunder.
Bogey Kell, who waves those stars and bars every time he wins around in IHRA drag racing, has not won an IHRA event for 9 years, but Bogey's always right in the thick of things, as is Peter Gallen.
Bogey Kell of Atala, Alabama, taking on Gallen from Newton Square, Pennsylvania, Joe Lapone's hometown. There you see Gallen in the right lane. The green light flashes their way. Gallen got out front, and Bogey Kell gets a little bit happy there, but he manages to overtake Gallen and take the victory.
Bogey Kell upsetting Peter Gallen in the Olds Forenza poverty-stricken car. There goes Bogey Kell's crew down. Up comes the flag by tradition, as they do it at every event. They'll go down and pick up, I'm sure, a very excited and happy Bogey Kell.
A big crowd favorite, Bogey Kell at 6.438 and 216 miles an hour. He will move on to the semifinals. In the other quarterfinals, Arnie Karp, the number 6 qualifier, met Jim Bailey, the number 14 man out of Mantua, Ohio. Karp away the winner in that quarterfinal. And in the other, Monty Todd, the number 16 qualifier out of Montgomery, Alabama, could not get it to fire. A very dejected Todd had to climb out of his dead machine. And that gave Herb Rogers, the number 8 qualifier, a solo run and a free ride into the semis.
That's very significant, Bob, because Monty Todd is number 3 currently in the IHRA points. He needed to win very badly, so a tough break for Monty Todd.
And that puts Don DeFluter in real good position to pick up valuable championship points. He'll meet Arnie Karp in one semifinal, and it'll be Kell versus Rogers in the other pro-alcohol funny semi. And we'll be back for more IHRA Championship drag racing action from Norwalk Raceway Park in Ohio right after this. Back at the Motorcraft IHRA World Nationals, Norwalk, Ohio, where we're ready for quarterfinal action of Pro Nitro Funny Cars. And this man, Doc Holliday, has a points battle on his hands. He'll be facing Jim White, the number 6 qualifier.
Doc Holliday, indeed, number 2 in the points, needs to keep advancing on and get past Jim White. White driving the Mohawk Express Oldsmobile, and Holliday in a Daytona.
Holliday near lane, White in the far lane. White looks to be in good shape and no, I don't think so. It looks like the chutes came out a little bit early.
He opened the chutes early. Doc Holliday drives around him. A serious error by Jim White. Now, the chute may have shaken out. Let's watch and see if there's a lot of tire shake. Jim White definitely out in front of Doc Holliday as they move down toward the quarter mile. Watch for the parachutes. There you see them blossoming early, and Doc Holliday zips on by.
Oh, what a lucky break for Doc Holliday, who, as we mentioned, badly needs championship points here. Now, the next quarterfinal, we'll have Ed the Ace McCullough, the number 2 qualifier out of Hemet, California, one of the great names in funny car drag racing. He'll be facing the son of a great name, Scott Kalita, son of the fuel dragster great Connie Kalita. Number 7 qualifier is Scott out of Belleville, Michigan, and this should be a great race.
McCullough and Kaleta both staged. They're out together, and McCullough has a little bit of problem. Now Kaleta weaving around as both cars broke loose, and McCullough an easy win.
Scott Kaleta got very close to the center line. That would have been automatic disappointment. Let's take another look.
Watch the driving job as Kaleta tries to tiptoe along that center line. That caused him to slow down. McCullough, not having tire shake problems, moves on by and opens the gap to take an easy victory.
So, Ed McCullough, there you see the numbers, 5.888. Great run. Jack Wyeth, the number 8 qualifier out of Allerton, Iowa, is in the next quarterfinal matchup, and he has got to face number 1 qualifier Mark Oswald out of nearby Cleves, Ohio, and he is darn near unbeatable on this racetrack.
Not only number 1 qualifier, number 1 in the point standings, the defending world champion Mark Oswald driving the Candies and Hughes owned Motorcraft Thunderbird, and out they go. It looks like Oswald's going to be out front. He'll have an easy win, even though he breaks loose at about the 200-foot mark.
You saw the tire smoke there as Mark Oswald didn't get quite the traction that he wanted, but still a somewhat glum-looking crew. Heck, those guys don't look very happy at all, but another victory for the famous Candies and Hughes car.
This is Jim Head from Westerville, Ohio. Jim driving the Wild old Forenza-bodied car, one of the most controversial cars in drag racing, and there you have Tom McEwen, his opponent from Fountain Valley, California.
McEwen, the number 4 qualifier. Head, the number 5 qualifier. Very evenly matched cars. You see Head in the near lane, McEwen in the far lane. Not yet staging. Time for a little dry hop. Get those tires up to operating temperatures.
They'll try and see if they have the clutches set and how hot the traction is. And, oh, a problem. Jim Head going up in smoke as he does his burnout. Now, that could be trouble. Oswald hooked up very nicely, Bob.
That's right. On that dry hop, we didn't want to see a little bit of smoke. They expected to get that one away cleanly. Looks like Head is spinning the tires a little bit, not getting the traction he wants as he prepares for the race. But the engines are fired. The car's about to stage. Not a whole lot he can do about it.
No, Jim Head can feather it just a little bit off the line, but that's difficult to do with a 3,000 horsepower nitromethane-powered machine. On the other hand, I'm sure that McEwen will use it to his advantage if he saw the tire smoke by Jim Head when they did that dry burnout.
Time to stage, so Jim Head will have to drive an ill-handling car, making up for what the mechanics of that machine won't do for him. See them come forward. When the yellow lights flash, they'll be staged. The 3 yellow lights will flash, meaning the green is next.
They're both pre-staged now. That's about 8 inches from the stage beam. The Coors Corvette of McEwen stages first. Now Head's ready. There goes the green, and out they go.
There you see it. Head gets loose and shuts it down.
Just what we thought might happen when you saw that smoke on that initial burnout. Head got loose. He got near the center line and had to shut it off. Tom McEwen to an easy victory.
And so Tom McEwen at 579 will move on into the semifinals with an easy victory over Jim Head in the quarters.
Tom McEwen shutting off just a little early, coasting through at 248.62 miles per hour.
And as McEwen wheels the Corvette onto the rundown area, we'll take a look at the Nitro Funny Car Semis. Mark Oswald will meet Tom McEwen in one bracket. Look for Ed the Ace McCullough to meet Doc Holliday in the other. Time now for the big crowd pleasers, Pro Stock. The closest thing to a stock street car, but nothing like it when you get under that engine hood. 500 cubic inches of power, maybe 900 horses or so. And we will see Carlton Phillips in the black Chevy Camaro, the number 6 qualifier out of Vienna, Virginia. He'll be meeting Ed Dixon in the near lane, and they're away.
Phillips is out first. Look at Dixon carry the wheels. This could be anyone's race. Phillips starts pulling ahead now as they hit high gear. Carlton Phillips.
And we're used to seeing close racing in Pro Stock. We sure got it. Carlton Phillips, the winner. Great time, great top speed. Next quarterfinal matchup will be Tim Neighbors, the number 4 qualifier out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. He'll meet Bob Olson, the number 5 qualifier out of Elgin, Illinois.
Bob Olson, one of the match race kings. He's in partnership with Gary Stewart. And Tim Neighbors, a regular on the IHRA trail. Plenty tough. Neighbors is out, and Olson right beside him. It looks like Neighbors in the far lane with a slight lead. Neighbors pulls 4th gear, and yes.
Looks like Tim Neighbors very narrowly at 7.44 seconds. A narrow victory over Bob Olson. We'll take another look.
We'll take a look at this. I want you to notice the ETs on this, Bob. They both have identical 7.44, and they both ran exactly 189 miles an hour. And as we get to the finish line, you'll be able to see why. Look at that.
About 2 feet, the entire gap there for Tim Neighbors. Our next quarterfinal matchup will be Jerry Haas out of St. Louis, Illinois, the number 2 qualifier, facing this man, Jim Ruth, the number 10 qualifier. He beat number 7, Terry Adams, in the first round, so this should be another good race.
Ruth red-lighted, I believe. Ruth leads very early in the pure Pontiac car, and I think he's turned on the red light. However, Haas motors by him anyway with a terrific 747. Watch now. You see Ruth's front end, and there's the foul light on the Christmas tree, indicating an automatic win for Jerry Haas. But look at the top-end charge by Haas. He beat Ruth anyway.
And he knows that car. He builds Pro Stock racers, does Jerry Haas. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that as the day goes on. Now, earlier, first-round action. Defending IHRA champion Ricky Smith on a Thunderbird in the right lane, facing Roy Hill in the left lane. And watch this one, folks.
This is a real upset. Roy Hill noses out Ricky Smith. You can hardly tell who won. Roy Hill with a 732, 188 mile an hour. That gentleman is in this race, and he is to be dealt with.
Well, after facing one Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird, Roy Hill, you see him there in his T-Bird, will face this man, the winningest drag racer in history, Bob Glidden out of Whiteland, Indiana.
Hill must feel like the deck stacked against him. First Smith, then Glidden. What's he going to do? Glidden, out of shape, has to shut it down. Glidden had tire problem off the starting line. Roy Hill has upset both Motorcraft Thunderbirds. This is incredible.
So Roy Hill, a neighbor and friend of the Petty family, a guy who's won a race or two out of North Carolina. Roy Hill says he got into drag racing so he wouldn't have to go into stock car racing and race his buddy the Pettys.
There you see Glidden getting just a little bit crooked off of the starting line. Roy Hill stays on it, turns a 737, 189 mile an hour. Brett Kepner talks to Roy Hill.
Well, getting out of the car, a man with a job to do who is getting it done. Standing next to car builder Jerry Haas, Roy Hill, what a job. Like I said, you came here with a job to do, you're getting it done. Getting past Ricky Smith first round, Bob Glidden second round, you may be on your way to a repeat here.
I'm just real lucky right now. Anytime you beat that man over there, you've done something. We was at ATCO here the other day, and we wasn't quite this lucky, and I'm just thankful to be here.
The most incredible thing about this is we're only in the second round of eliminations now, and we've already gone through the kind of action we usually see in the semifinal and final rounds, and you've still got 2 rounds to go, but you're hot.
Right now, let's just hope it holds out, buddy.
Boy, hot's not the word for it. Having knocked out the event sponsors 2 namesake cars, Roy Hill will meet Tim Neighbors in 1 Pro Stock Semi. Look for Jerry Haas against Carlton Phillips in the other. And we'll be back for more IHRA drag racing. Coming up, semifinal action in all 4 pro classes from Norwalk, Ohio. Stay where you are. Welcome back to Norwalk Raceway Park in Norwalk, Ohio. Bob Barsh and Ted Jones with you as we take a close look at Dante Pastorini, the former NFL quarterback turned drag racer.
Look at the intensity in his eyes. This man is all serious. It's just like quarterbacking behind that professional football starting line. He means business. Pastorini turned in a fantastic 5:55 at 260 mile an hour in the quarterfinals.
And he'll be meeting Jack Ostrander with a 5:49 at 267 miles an hour. Pastorini knocked off top qualifier Gene Snow in the quarterfinals, and now he will face Ostrander, who put down Bill Mullins in his heat.
Remember, Pastorini, the athlete, hopes that his prowess will be sharp for this race because Ostrander went much quicker in that semifinal round.
Ostrander smoking the tires in the far lane, but still close, and I think Ostrander holds on. He does at 5:51. Great race.
What an incredible race as they were wheel to wheel down the drag strip. Watch, Pastorini actually is out first. Then Ostrander begins to move forward. Now they go side by side, wheel to wheel as they move up to the finish line. It's anyone's race, and it's going to be Ostrander barely nosing Pastorini.
Add up reaction times and ETs, and that was a victory by 1/1000th of a second. Now we're ready for semi number 2 in Pro Nitro Dragster. Jerry Marconi at 5:47 and 260 miles an hour. He beat Joe Amato, the top qualifier, in the quarters. John Carey had a solo run when Glenn Mikras couldn't get his car to fire at the starting line. They will now meet in the semis.
Carey only turning a 7:25 at 189 mile an hour, so we're not really sure what he's capable of doing right now. But you can bet Jerry Marconi's going to give it all he's got. They're both staged. Here they come.
Yeah, and Marconi is out of the race. Look at it. He spins the tires, gets all kinds of smoke, but now Carey's had a problem.
He stays in it, and Marconi pulls the win out. This is incredible, but it looked like he hurt a motor.
You see the smoke coming from the pipes. Watch this, folks. Jerry Marconi could have given up right here as he smokes the tires.
As a matter of fact, I think that's what Carey did. He actually shut down after smoking the tires, shut the car off, thought Marconi was out of it. Surprise, there's Marconi, and look at the smoke from the engine. That could be significant.
And so we may have terminal damage to that engine. We'll have to get word from the pits. But as it is, Jerry Marconi, the number 8 qualifier, will go to the Pro Nitro Dragster Final, where he will meet Jack Ostrander. Ostrander with the lower ET will have the lane choice. And now we move on to Pro Alcohol Funny Car semifinals. Our first matchup, we'll have the white car of Don DeFluter, the number 2 qualifier. He's looking for points against this man, Arnie Karp, with a 6.5, 213 miles an hour in his quarterfinal victory against Jim Bailey. There you see DeFluter, who beat points leader Bob Newberry in the quarterfinals. Should be a good one here.
Arnie Karp, the Boston Strangler, sponsored by Pepsi, has been unstoppable in the last 2 races on the IHRA trail. DeFluter knows it. Karp's the guy that's been beating Newberry, doing the job DeFluter wanted to do. Now DeFluter has to stop Karp if he's to gain any of those valuable IHRA points. Here they come. DeFluter out in front. Karp moves slightly ahead now to the finish line. Karp!
And Arnie Karp out of Peabody, Massachusetts, knocks off Don DeFluter. And you saw DeFluter having some traction problems as he moved very close to the center line. But Arnie Karp at 6.46 and 220 miles an hour, great run. Our next semifinal will have Bogey Kell and Southern Thunder at 216 miles an hour in his victory in the quarters over Peter Gallen, facing this man, Herb Rogers, in the Flying Glass Mustang. He had an easy run into the semis when Monty Todd had mechanical problems at the start line.
This is a Canada versus the USA. Herb Rogers, the Mustang-bodied Flying Glass, is from Canada. Bogey Kell from the southern part of the United States, Attala, Alabama. Look at the paint job on that car and the beautiful mural on the front end of that. You can tell Bogey is a proud Southerner.
We mentioned Alcohol Funny Cars in their second full season of championship pro racing, and as they're away, looks like Southern Thunder and Bogey Kell moves away to a car-length victory.
The South will rise again. Bogey Kell doing a little wheel stand off the starting line, stayed right in it. Watch the wheels come up. Watch Bogey drive it right on through the car, a little crooked. Bogey straightens. What an excellent driving job, and keeps right on top of it to stay out in front of Rogers and take the victory.
A tremendous victory for Bogey Kell. Keep in mind, he has never won an IHRA Alcohol Funny Car national event. And so our matchup in Pro Alcohol Funny Car Finals will be Bogey Kell against Arnie Karp. Karp will have lane choice. Once again, the low ET means you get to choose. Lots more racing still to come from Norwalk, Ohio, and the Motorcraft World Nationals. Coming up next, Pro Nitro Funny Car Semifinals. Back at Norwalk Raceway Park in the IHRA Motorcraft World Nationals. Bob Barsha and Ted Jones with you. And we're ready for Pro Nitro Funny Car Semifinals. A couple of lucky qualifiers. There's Ed the Ace McCullough in his Miller American Olds, who beat Scott Kalita, who got way out of shape and almost crossed the center line in his quarterfinal heat. And he'll be facing Doc Holliday in his Telstar Dodge Daytona, who won his quarterfinal heat when Jim White popped prematurely. There you see Ed McCulloch's numbers, 588 at 247 miles an hour, beating Scott Kalita. Doc Holliday, very close to the same numbers, 588 at 254, as he beat Jim White.
What a race this is going to be. Doc Holliday, who has been racing for 30 years against Ed the Ace McCullough, 2 old veterans. Look at McCullough pulling the front end off the ground, pulling away consistently from Doc Holliday, and he has an easy win, Bob.
And so Ed McCullough, who we saw in his race against Scott Kalita, drove straight and true. He really has that Miller Olds hooked up well. There you see 572 at 244 miles an hour. Ed McCullough will go on to the finals. Our next semifinal will feature the defending world champ, Mark Oswald.
There you see Leonard Hughes. He's the genius, the man that makes this car run so strong. And you see right there Tom McEwen being backed into his tracks. This is going to be one great semifinal.
A couple of great veterans. Mark Oswald at 584 and 248 miles an hour beat Jack Wyatt in his quarterfinal round. Tom McEwen at 579 and 248 miles an hour beat Jim Head.
Tom McEwen has been running very strong lately in the Coors Corvette. Don't forget Dale Armstrong doing the wrenching today on that car, and they're out.
And there you see Oswald in the near lane, but McEwen in the far lane looks like he's got it. Very close, very close.
It looks like Mark Oswald, the tire tells us, wins that one in the near lane.
Wow, thank goodness for electric eyes, folks. Watch this finish. McEwen on the left in the far lane, and Oswald, the defending IHRA Funny Car World Champion, in the right lane, just gets there. About a 6-foot victory, I'd make it. And so we will have Mark Oswald, the #1 qualifier, facing Ed the Ace McCullough, the #2 qualifier. You can't ask for better than that in the Pro Nitro Funny Car Finals. McCullough with the lower ET, get to choose his lane.
That could be very important indeed. We move on now to Pro Stock semifinal action.
There you see Carlton Phillips out of Vienna, Virginia. He beat Ed Dixon in the quarterfinals. Carlton Phillips, who once had a car stolen from a parking lot after qualifying for a Nationals event, he'll be facing this guy, Jerry Haas, who won James Ruth, who red-lighted in the quarterfinal. There you see Haas, who builds race cars as well as driving them. There's Carlton Phillips at 7.45 and 187 miles an hour.
Both of these guys running consistent 740s. This could be anybody's race. Their stage. Carlton Phillips out first. He left on Jerry Haas. Let's see if Haas can come around him. Haas still behind Phillips, holding him off, and at the end, Haas nips him.
Jerry Haas, with a spectacular come-from-behind victory, has taken out Carlton Phillips, and there you see the happy crew. Great effort for Jerry Haas, 7:59, 187 miles an hour.
Jerry Haas with that top-end charge running 187 miles an hour.
Our next semi-matchup, we'll have Roy Hill, our top qualifier, who's already beaten Ricky Smith and Bob Glidden. He'll meet this guy, Tim Neighbors, who at 7.4 and 189 beat number 5 qualifier Bob Olson in the quarters.
Roy, the Giant Killer, has bumped off the 2 top pro stockers in the entire nation to get into the semifinals against Tim Neighbors. Tim, very young with quick reflexes, though. Don't count him out of this in that beautiful new 87 Camaro. They're staged and out.
And there you see Roy Hill, far lane. Tim Neighbors giving him all he can handle in the near lane, but I think Roy Hill is out front, and yes.
Look at the ET on this, 7.33 for Roy Hill. The car just continues to go faster and faster.
And in the Pro Stock Finals, just as in the Funny Car Finals, we will have a number 1 qualifier against a number 2, as Roy Hill will take on Jerry Haas. There you see the gentlemen themselves, smiling faces. This should be a great Pro Stock Final. In fact, Jerry Haas built Roy Hill's car. For more on that, let's go down to the runoff area and Brett Kepner.
Jerry, what do you think, buddy?
Hey, that's great.
Well, Jerry Haas and Roy Hill standing here. You'd never think a man would be so happy to run Roy Hill in the final round, but a lot of our viewers don't know it. But during the week, Jerry Haas builds race cars. And Jerry, you'll be going into the final round against Roy Hill, one of the toughest men in the sport, but you build his car.
Yeah, I know, but this Roy, he's a tough guy.
Well,
I couldn't, if I had to run somebody, he's just a perfect guy I'd like to race.
Well, you're lucky because that's indeed who you'll be racing. And Roy, a 7:33. Now, Haas shook the tires pretty hard here, and that doesn't seem to be a problem for the Penny's Thunderbird.
Well, we shook them real bad against Glidden right then, and Bill and Mike and Jim pulled the clutch out of it, and they're just doing a heck of a job with the car. And if I can just drive it, maybe we can beat Jerry. But I don't think he'll mind.
In fact, Jerry Haas can't lose in our Pro Stock Final. Coming up, finals in all of our classes. It's the IHRA Motorcraft World Nationals. Stay right there.
This looks like a major thrash to get ready for the final round here at the World Nationals. It's actually just basic maintenance for the Candies and Hughes team. Mark Oswald, the driver of the Motorcraft Thunderbird, is assisting the rest of the crew in taking the engine completely apart and checking it out to make sure that all is well for the final round. Oswald and crew chief Leonard Hughes say that the only major adjustments they'll make is finding out why the fuel system apparently had problems in the semifinal rounds, as the engine was not running on all 8 cylinders. Other than that, they're looking for some consistency to help win this event.
Well, certainly Mark Oswald, not the only guy working on his car. Remember Jerry Marconi, the number 8 qualifier who knocked off Joe Amato and John Kerry? We saw the engine smoke. He could not get his car back together for the final. And so Jack Ostrander has a solo run to victory in the Motorcraft World Nationals Pro Nitro Dragster Championship. Now, Bogey Kell is preparing himself for his final in alcohol, and we talked with him about his semi.
I tell you, the crew really worked hard, and Arnie's going to be tough in the finals. We feel good about it, though. We're due one. After all this work, we're due one.
Well, I'll tell you, you're going to have a group of Massachusetts Yankees against the greatest Southern Rebel team in drag racing in neutral Ohio. This should be interesting.
South's going to rise again.
Bogey Kell, the South's going to rise again. He's hasn't won for about 9 years, but this man, Arnie Karp, certainly has. He just won the last 2 IHRA events you saw here on ESPN, the IHRA Summer Nationals and the Motorcraft Northern Nationals. He is hot, Bob.
Now, these crews only have about 90 minutes to totally tear down these cars and engines between rounds, so it's a tremendous mechanical achievement, but they're back.
Looks like Karp is out first on Kell. Kell may be in trouble. Here comes Bogey Kell. Does he have enough? I don't know. Yes, Bogey Kell has won the IHRA World Nationals. That is incredible.
And Southern Thunder rolls again. One very happy man is Bogey Kell, and so is his crew. Let's take another look at it.
Watch them lead the line almost together now. Bogey Kell trying to stay with Arnie Karp right beside him all the way down to the final. It takes the eyes to tell us who has won this event. The first win for Bogey Kell in 9 years, and he's with Brett Kepner.
Boy, it was a close. It was a close race. It was. I saw you.
Oh, it's been a long time.
I'll tell you.
It's been a long time.
You were the one who called it. You told us in the last round the South will rise again, and you certainly proved it here in the final.
Oh, well, I tell you, it's nothing like it. It's just 9 runner-ups I've had, and that's a win right there. It's been a long time. It's been 79 since I won one of the IHRA races.
That's true, and back then it was in a dragster.
That's it. That's it. Oh, thanks. Boy, I tell you, wonderful. It's nothing like the win.
Oh, it's certainly good to have you back in the winner's circle, and obviously Arnie Karp is a little dejected, but I'll tell you, for him, 3 final round appearances isn't too bad.
Like just, we didn't know who won.
Yeah.
It's that close.
Excellent race, and Bogey, you're going to have one happy crew coming down here, flying the stars and bars in just a minute. I know you want to greet them. Good luck.
All right, thanks, Brett. Thanks.
Time now for a quick fact, brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
Whether it's a matter of picking up some debris on the racing surface before the next pair of cars can race, or a matter of extricating a driver from the crumbled remnants of a race car after a horrendous crash, the PTS crew is always there. The president of the Professional Track Services Crews is Dwayne Dimmitt. And Dwayne, you had a drag racing career back in high school, but you moved into oval track safety over a quarter of a century ago.
Yes, I started a business about 25 years ago, and I worked at various oval tracks by myself with a certain amount of people, and then we formed Professional Track Services in 1970. And we started with IHRA, I believe it's 1973.
I should point out that working on the Professional Track Services crews is quite a dangerous job at times.
Yes, it can be. We had one of our people injured this weekend up here, Bud Grogg. But we got a call from him this morning. He's going to be okay. But it can be dangerous, too. When you go down a drag strip, sometimes we reach speeds of 70 and 80 mile an hour, get into a crash scene. And when you bring a truck down to a stop, you must have all your stuff together or you can get yourself hurt.
As Dwayne Dimmitt pointed out, it can be a very dangerous job working on the PTS trucks, as Bud Grogg found out this weekend when a safety valve on a fire extinguisher malfunctioned and nearly blinded him. As a matter of fact, Bud had done an awful lot of work helping the ESPN crew down here at the finish line area. So on behalf of our little remote crew, Bud, get well soon, and we hope to see you back on the PTS crew soon.
Indeed. Thanks, Brett. Well, we've still got finals coming up in Pro Nitro Funny Cars and Pro Stock against number 2 in each for IHRA Championship Racing coming up from Norwalk, Ohio. Back at Norwalk Raceway Park, we're ready for the Pro Nitro Funny Car Final, and it doesn't get any better than this, folks. Number 1, Mark Oswald, will meet number 2, Ed the Ace McCullough.
Oswald has to be favored to win this final. He's the defending world champion. He won this same event in 1984 and again in 1985. McCullough, this is his second round appearance in 1987 to make it to a finals.
Ed McCullough has won in dominating fashion with straight and true runs. His car is really hooked up there away. McCullough gets a little skittish, though, as the wheels come up, and he gets right near the center line, but he pulls it off.
Ed McCullough has finally won an IHRA event in 1987, and he did it with a hole shot, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Mark Oswald with a 580. Ed McCullough a slower 5.84. That means McCullough left first.
Boy, I can't figure out how he did this, Ted, as we watch Ed make his rollout. Let's take another look.
There you see the front end of McCullough lifting first, and that decided the race. Watch the expert driving of Ed McCullough as he keeps it off the yellow line ahead of Mark Oswald to take the win.
Ed, you constantly tell us how much preparation goes into this car and what a crew you have. In this final round, the car was prepared, but it was a driver's race. Your 584 beat Mark Oswald's 580, and that's what brought you the win.
Well, we were just a little bit lucky there. I mean, you know, Every dog has his day, I guess you might say. We've changed some things around, and the car's reacting much better, and it obviously makes me look a little bit better, makes me feel a little bit better, so we'll take it.
Not many people have been able to beat Mark Oswald in the Candies and Hughes Thunderbird this year. You're one of the few, and it's good to see the Miller American team in the winner's circle.
Thank you. They're tough.
And you're tough yourself, Ed. Now we'll move on to the Pro Stock Final. Once again, it's going to be number 1, Roy Hill, who has already beaten Bob Glidden and Ricky Smith against this guy. Number 2 qualifier, Jerry Haas. We said it before, he can't lose. He built both these cars.
This is the 3rd time Roy Hill's been in the finals, but he has yet to win one this year. Jerry Haas, this is his first final round appearance, and I believe there was a red light, Bob.
I think so. Jerry Haas way out in front. I thought I saw that glimmer from the bottom of the Christmas tree. The red light would mean that Jerry Haas left too soon. And
yes, indeed. It was a red light. The crews congratulating each other. It was over right on the starting line, as Haas knew that he had to cut the Christmas tree very closely if he was to beat Roy Hill. Hill just kept going faster and faster, and look at the time, faster again. 7.32, 189.87 mile an hour. Hill still drove it out the back door. Look at the red light start. You see Haas's front end come up. You see the red light kicking on down at the bottom of the Christmas tree. It was over right there on the starting line. Roy Hill is your 1987 Motorcraft World Nationals champion, Bob.
Well, Jerry Haas's nightmare is your dream, so congratulations.
It's just super. I mean, you know, I really need this, and my guys have been so good, and Mr. Penny, the whole Penny family. I mean, I hope I just give them something that was a dream to them. I really do.
Well, I'll tell you, obviously, this is more than just one national event victory. This does an awful lot for you in the points race and actually makes a battle of it now.
You know, it's going to be a good old race, these next 2 races. Anybody that misses these next 2 races, hey, let me tell you, this Motorcraft Nationals is nothing to what it's going to be at Rockingham. And then we go back to Bristol. So, I mean, you know, if you can't be there, watch it on ESPN.
Well, I'll tell you, we couldn't have said it better ourselves. Congratulations to both of you. I know you're both happy to be in the final, and good luck.
I needed that.
And we'll be back with our special Sportsman of the Week feature right after this.